Welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be focusing on solving systems of equation by substitution and show mastery by scoring at least an 80% on an exit ticket when you get to class. Hopefully you have the note sheet in front of you. If you don't, please make sure to take out a separate sheet of paper. You can take the notes on there and get a fresh copy from me tomorrow. Now, when it comes to substitution, there's 5 steps we want to solve or use to solve. Step 1 is solving an equation for one variable. Sometimes it's going to be given to you, and sometimes you're going to have to solve it. Step 2, we want to substitute it in. We're going to take that equation we solved and plug it into the other equation. Step 3, solve it. Step 4, plug back in to find the other variable, and then we can check our solution. If we look at example 1, we already have y by itself, so we already have one that is solved for another variable. I'm going to take this y and I'm going to plug it into my second equation where I have that y. So in this case, we're going to get 2x plus 3 instead of y. Well, I know y equals 6x, so I'm going to put 6x in there, and it's still going to equal negative 20. That gives me 2x plus 18x equals negative 20. Well, if I combine my like terms, 20x equals negative 20, and I'm going to divide on both sides by 20 to get x is equal to negative 1. Now, from here, it does not matter which equation you plug it back into. My suggestion would be, if we're solving for y, use the y equals equation. So y equals 6x. Well, we know x is equal to negative 1, so y is going to equal negative 6. Now that I have my x and y, my final point becomes negative 1, negative 6 as my answer. To check it, we can also plug it into our second equation and make sure it works. Well, 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. 3 times negative 6 is negative 18. And negative 2 plus negative 18 equals negative 20. So it does work. If we look at our second example, we already have one of our equations solved for a variable. Yes, it is the variable x, but it is solved for x by itself, so why not use what's already there? I'm going to plug this x in where I see the other x. Now, I'm going to put a 1x here to remind myself that it's 1. Well, 1 times x is equal to y minus 7 plus 8y is equal to 2. When I distribute, it becomes 1y minus 7 plus 8y equals 2. If I combine like terms, we have 9y minus 7 equals 2. Well, I'm going to add 7 on both sides, and I'm going to get 9y equals 9. If I divide by 9 on both sides, I'm going to be left with y is equal to 1. Now, from here, we do have to solve for x. Again, we already have an equation that says x equals, so I'm going to use that equation. We know y is equal to 1, so I'm going to plug it in. Well, in this case, x is equal to 1 minus 7, which is just equal to negative 6. So my answer for the second problem is negative 6, comma 1. And we can go back and plug it in. 1 times x, which is negative 6, is negative 6, plus 8 times 1 is 8. Well, negative 6 plus 8 does give me that positive 2. If we look at our third problem, both of them are already solved for one variable. They're both in the form y equals. Since they both are y equals, that's telling me they equal the same thing. So either one of these can be replaced with the other. So in this case, if that's the case and they both equal the same thing, that means that these two equations equal each other. So 2x minus 2 is going to be equal to x plus 2. Now I'm going to solve it for my variable x. I'm going to subtract x on both sides. I'm left with 1x minus 2 equals 2. I'm going to add 2. And that gives me 1x equals 4. And if you divide by 1, you still get x is equal to 4. Now, from here, since both of them are in the form for y equals, it doesn't matter which equation you choose. They will both work. I'm going to use the first one, y equals 2x minus 2. Well, I know x is 4, so I'm going to substitute that in. 2 times 4 gives me 8, minus my 2 gives me y is equal to 6. So in this case, my point becomes 4, 6. Now, example number 4. We have one of our equations already in y equals, so the variable is by itself. So let's substitute it in. Now, I'm going to put a 1 in front of this y to remind myself it is negative 1. That makes this 2x minus 1, and in parentheses, 2x plus 6 equals 2. Please don't forget to put that negative 1 in front of your parentheses. It doesn't just automatically become negative 2x, because now we need to actually distribute this negative 1 to both numbers, not just the 2x. Well, if I combine like terms, these form a 0, so I'm left with negative 6 equals 2. Since there's no variables, we can stop. And we know that negative 6 never equals negative 2, so this tells me there is no solution to my problem. I hope you've copied these down. If you have any questions, bring them to class tomorrow. Also bring your note sheet, and I look forward to seeing you then.